October 12, 2020. At exactly 3:06 a.m., a voice was captured inside a hospital corridor that should have been completely empty. The recording lasted 1 minute and 42 seconds. It began with footsteps. Slow. Measured. Moving across the polished floor of the hospital's fourth-floor wing. Then something else appeared on the audio. A voice.
Okay, supplies for
quiet,
room 405.
Close to the phone's microphone. But according to the hospital's records, no one was supposed to be there. The hospital was Riverside Medical Center, a regional facility located just outside Milwaukee. 4 main patient floors. 2 surgical wings. And a staff that worked through the night to maintain emergency care. But the 4th floor west wing had been closed for several months. The hospital had temporarily shut it down during renovation planning. No patients admitted. No nurses assigned. No overnight activity scheduled. The hallway lights remained on. But the rooms were empty. On October 12, however, a single nurse was temporarily assigned to pass through that area. Her name was Emily Carter. 31 years old. Registered nurse. 6 years of experience in overnight hospital shifts. Emily was known among staff as calm and methodical. Night shifts were routine for her. The hospital at night followed a predictable rhythm. Quiet corridors. Distant monitor alarms. Occasional footsteps from staff moving between floors. But certain wings of the hospital remained completely unused. The 4th floor west wing was one of them. Emily's task that night was simple. Retrieve a supply cart that had been stored temporarily near the closed wing during earlier maintenance work. At approximately 2:55 a.m., Emily rode the elevator to the 4th floor. Security cameras later confirmed her arrival. She exited the elevator alone. The hallway outside the elevator lobby appeared normal. Soft fluorescent lighting. White tile floors reflecting the lights above. Closed patient room doors on both sides of the corridor. But the further she walked toward the west wing, the quieter the building became. That area of the hospital had no active patient monitors. No nurse stations. No overnight staff. Just a long hallway of empty rooms. At 3:04 a.m., Emily entered the west corridor. Before continuing, she did something that would later become critical to the investigation. She activated the voice recorder on her phone. Nurses sometimes did this during late-night supply checks. It allowed them to dictate notes or reminders while working alone. Emily placed the phone in the pocket of her scrub top and began walking down the corridor. The recording started immediately. The first several seconds captured normal hospital sounds. Footsteps. The faint hum of ventilation. The squeak of a supply cart wheel. At 3:06 a.m., something changed. Emily stopped walking. Later she told investigators she had heard something ahead of her.
I heard it again.
Footsteps. But not her own. A second set. Moving slowly somewhere deeper inside the corridor. The recording captured the moment clearly. Emily's footsteps stopped. But another sound continued. A soft step. Then another. Slow. Deliberate. As if someone was walking toward her from the far end of the hallway. The strange part was this. According to hospital logs, there were no other staff members assigned to that wing. And security cameras showed no one entering the corridor.
That's not normal.
Yet the audio recording continued. Emily's breathing grew slightly heavier as she listened.
What is that sound?
Then she spoke.
It's not normal.
Quietly.
It's getting louder.
Almost a whisper. Hello. For several seconds, there was no response.
This
Only
is where
silence.
The recording happened.
Then the recording captured something else. A voice.
No one inside.
Low.
Look at
Indistinct.
the nurse station. The logs.
Only 2 words.
Checked. Nothing unusual.
But the microphone captured them clearly enough to be heard during later playback.
Powering it on now.
The voice said, "You shouldn't."
Signal looks good.
Emily later stated that she
Locked in.
immediately turned
We're
around
set.
and left the corridor.
Good. Let's
The
monitor.
recording ended moments later. At first, the incident was treated as a
Test
misunderstanding.
is set.
Hospitals are full of strange
Roger
sounds.
that. Keep eyes on the
Ventilation
carpet.
systems.
Quiet tonight.
Maintenance
Too
equipment.
quiet.
Distant
Look.
echoes from other
The
floors.
red light is on.
But the hospital's security office reviewed the recording the following morning. And what they discovered created a far more disturbing question. Because when they checked the surveillance cameras, Emily Carter had indeed walked into the corridor alone. But the hallway cameras showed something unexpected. At exactly 3:06 a.m., Emily stopped walking. She turned slightly toward the far end of the corridor. As if someone had spoken to her. But the hallway behind her, and the hallway ahead of her, remained completely empty. Yet the recording on her phone still contained the footsteps. And the voice. The investigation into the recording began that same afternoon. Because according to the
Playback
hospital's
starting.
building access
Listen.
logs, no one had
Okay,
entered the
here we
4th
go.
floor west wing that
Hear
entire
that
night.
static?
And the
That's
only
the
person
anomaly.
visible on
It's not
camera
just
was
static,
Emily
it's
Carter,
moving.
walking
What
alone,
is that?
into an empty
whisper.
hospital corridor.
Look, the
October
spikes match
13th,
footsteps
2020.
in the corridor.
By
Yes,
the following
breathing's
morning,
right after
the recording
it's
had already
continuous.
spread among the
That's
hospital's
not
night
normal. We need
staff.
to check the logs.
Emily Carter had not
Timestamps
intended for it to
line up.
become a
Something
story.
is in there.
She simply reported what she heard.
Alright.
A set
starting
of
to
footsteps
play
in an
back.
empty corridor. And a voice that answered
What
when she
is that
spoke.
sound?
But once the audio was reviewed
It's
inside
coming
the
from the
hospital's
east
security
wing.
office, the situation changed quickly.
That's not normal.
The recording was clear. Too clear to
Listen
dismiss.
this. It's from the corridor
Hospital
last
administrators requested the original audio
What is
file
that
directly from
sound?
Emilie's
It's not
phone.
normal.
It had been recorded
getting
using a
louder.
standard voice memo
Play it
application. The file contained no
night.
edits,
Something's not right.
no cuts, no interruptions.
This is where the recording
One continuous
happened.
recording lasting 1 minute
The
and
hallway
42
was
seconds.
empty then too?
Security
Completely.
technicians copied the
No one
file
in
to the
sight.
hospital's system and
Look
began
at the
analyzing
nurse
the
station.
audio
The
waveform.
logs.
The first 20
Checked.
seconds
Nothing
showed normal
unusual.
hospital
This is
noise,
unsettling.
footsteps, clothing movement, the faint hum of ventilation systems inside the building. At 26 seconds, Emily stopped walking. The waveform changed. A second rhythm of footsteps appeared. Separate from hers. Slower. Heavier. The two patterns overlapped for a moment. Then Emily's steps stopped completely. But the second pattern continued. 3 steps. 4. Then silence. At the 37-second mark, Emily spoke. Hello. The microphone picked up the word clearly. The corridor acoustics produced a faint echo from the tiled floor and walls. 5 seconds passed. Then the voice appeared. 2 words. You shouldn't. The sound lasted less than 1 second. But the waveform confirmed it was not background noise. It contained the same vocal frequencies found in normal human speech. Technicians
What's going
enhanced
on in
the
the
audio several
corridor?
times.
Code in
Each version
progress.
produced the same
Perimeter
result.
breach.
A low
She can
voice.
tell me, damn.
Male.
Negative.
close to the
Subject
phone.
is moving.
As
Back
if someone
up
had
en
been
route.
standing
I'm
only a few
watching.
feet
Keep
away.
me posted.
Hospital administrators then reviewed the security footage again. The 4th floor west corridor had 2 cameras. One near the elevator lobby. The second halfway down the hallway. Both cameras covered the section where Emily had walked. At 3:05 a.m., the footage showed Emily leaving the elevator. She pushed the supply cart ahead of her and turned into the west wing corridor. No one else appeared on camera. The hallway lights were fully illuminated. All patient room doors were closed. At 3:06 a.m., Emily stopped walking. The moment aligned exactly with the audio recording. She looked toward the far end of the hallway. The footage showed her standing completely still. But the camera showed no one in front of her. And no one behind her. The corridor was empty. After approximately 15 seconds, Emily turned and walked quickly back toward the elevator. The supply cart remained where she had left it. At 3:07 a.m. she entered the elevator and left the floor. No one entered or exited the corridor before or after the event. Security checked the hospital's electronic access system next. Every staff member entering restricted areas of the building used an ID badge. The system logged every access point. Elevators. Stairwells. Maintenance doors. For the entire time period between 2:45 a.m. and 3:30 a.m., only one badge had accessed the fourth floor. Emily Carter's. Maintenance logs also confirmed that the West Wing corridor had no scheduled work that night. No cleaning staff. No maintenance crew. No security patrol assigned. In fact, the entire wing was considered inactive. The hospital had planned to renovate the area later that year. But until construction began, the rooms remained empty. Administrators initially believed the recording might have captured a voice from another floor. Hospitals often carry sound through ventilation shafts. A conversation from one hallway can sometimes echo faintly into another. But when technicians tested the building acoustics, they discovered something unusual. The West Corridor ventilation system had been partially disconnected months earlier during renovation preparation. Air ducts in that section were sealed, meaning outside sound could not easily travel into the corridor. That left one remaining explanation. Someone had been physically present in the hallway with Emily. But the cameras had not recorded them.
See that?
On
Halfway
October
down.
14th, the hospital conducted a
the
controlled
recorder
overnight
is
test.
active.
2 security guards were stationed at the elevator lobby on the 4th floor.
By.
The West Corridor lights were left on.
Watching.
And a portable audio recorder was placed on a supply cart exactly where Emily had stopped walking. The recorder was activated at 2:58 a.m. The guards remained at the elevator entrance where they could see the entire corridor. Nothing moved inside the hallway. At 3:05 a.m., the building remained silent. At 3:06 a.m., the audio recorder captured something. Footsteps.
Copy
Slow.
that. Card's still there.
Moving along the
Keep an
tile
eye.
floor deeper inside the corridor.
Will do.
Both security guards later stated they heard nothing. The hallway in front of them appeared completely empty. But the recorder continued capturing the sound. Step. 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 The pattern moved toward the supply cart where the recorder had been placed. Then the steps stopped. 5 seconds later, the recorder captured breathing. Slow. Close to the microphone. But the corridor cameras still showed nothing. No movement. No shadow. No
This is
person.
where the recording happened.
After several seconds, the
hallway
breathing
was
stopped.
empty then too?
The hallway
Completely.
remained
No
silent.
one in sight.
The guards
Look at
walked
the nurse
forward and
station.
retrieved the recorder.
logs.
They had
Check.
seen
Nothing
no one
unusual.
enter the
This is
corridor,
unsettling.
and no one leave it.
Alright. powering
When the
it on
audio
now.
file was reviewed the next morning,
Signal
the
looks
footsteps
good.
and breathing were clearly
Locked
present.
in. We're set.
But the recording also
Good.
contained something
Let's
else.
monitor.
A second voice. Even quieter than the one captured on Emily's
Test is
phone.
set.
Only
Now we
one
wait.
sentence.
Roger that.
Barely audible.
Keep eyes on the cart.
But after
Quiet
enhancement,
tonight.
the words
Too
could be
quiet.
understood.
Look,
It said, "Go back."
the red light is on.
At that moment, hospital administrators realized the recording might not be an isolated incident. Because when they reviewed older security footage from the closed wing, they found something they had never noticed before. Every night for nearly a week, at exactly 3:06 a.m., someone appeared to stop walking in that hallway. But only one person was ever visible on camera. October 16, 2020. By the end of that week, Riverside Medical Center had already conducted 2 overnight tests inside the 4th floor west corridor. Both recordings had captured unexplained sounds. Footsteps. Breathing. And a voice. But none of the hallway cameras showed anyone
Playback
present.
starting. Listen.
The hospital administration
Here we
decided
go.
to perform one final
Hear that
controlled
static?
investigation.
That's the
This time the
anomaly.
corridor would be
Just
monitored
static.
continuously.
It's moving.
3
What is
cameras
that?
were positioned along the hallway.
Whisper.
2 security guards
Look,
remained
the spikes
stationed at the
match
elevator
footsteps in
entrance.
the corridor.
And an
Yes,
additional
breathing
audio
is right
recorder
after
was
it
placed directly in the middle of the corridor
That's not
floor.
normal. We need to check the
The
logs.
lights remained fully on.
Timestamps line
No
up.
one was
Something's
allowed to
in
enter
there.
the West Wing after 2:45 a.m.
All right.
At 2:58 a.m. the equipment was activated. The guards
What is
confirmed the
that
corridor
sound?
was empty. Every patient
Coming
room
from
door
the
remained
east
closed. No maintenance staff were
That's
scheduled
not
anywhere
normal.
near that part of the building. The hospital floor was silent. At 3:04 a.m., nothing happened. At 3:05 a.m., the cameras showed only the empty hallway. Then the clock reached 3:06. The audio recorder captured the first sound immediately. A step. Clear. Distinct. But the cameras showed nothing moving in the corridor. Another step followed. Then another. The sound pattern was identical to the previous recordings. Slow. Measured. Crossing the hallway floor. The footsteps appeared to move toward the recorder placed in the center of the corridor. The security guards watched the monitors carefully. Neither guard reported hearing anything in real time. But the recorder continued capturing the movement. Step. Step. Then silence. At that moment, both cameras recorded something unusual. One of the overhead lights in the corridor flickered briefly. Just once. The hallway remained otherwise unchanged. But the audio recorder captured breathing again. Slow. Close to the microphone. As if someone were standing directly over it. 5 seconds passed. Then the voice returned. Clearer than before. The recording captured 3 words this time. Turn around. The guards later confirmed that no one had spoken in the hallway. No
Test
one
is
entered the
set.
corridor.
Now we wait.
No one exited.
Roger that.
The
Keep eyes
cameras
on
showed the
target.
same empty floor they had been
Quiet
watching
tonight.
all night.
Too quiet.
After approximately 8 seconds, the
Red
breathing
light is
stopped. The hallway returned to complete silence. The recorder continued running for several minutes. But no additional sounds appeared. The security guards walked forward at 3:08 a.m. and retrieved the device. The corridor remained empty. Every door was closed. The hospital lights remained steady. Nothing appeared out of place. Later that morning, the recording was reviewed inside the security office. The audio confirmed everything the guards had described. Footsteps. Breathing. And the voice. But the camera footage still showed no visible source for any of those sounds. Nope. November 3, 2019. At exactly 2:58 a.m., the projector inside Theater Room 4 powered on. The cinema had been closed for nearly 6 months. No employees were scheduled. No electricity was supposed to be running in the building. Yet the security camera inside the theater recorded something impossible. A movie had started playing. The building was Lakewood Grand Cinema, a once popular movie theater located just outside Cleveland. 8 screening rooms. 1 central lobby. A small arcade area near the entrance. For years it served as a busy weekend destination. But in early 2019, declining attendance forced the owners to shut it down. The building was emptied. Equipment was left behind. Power to most sections of the cinema was disconnected. The main lobby lights were shut off. The arcade machines unplugged. And every projector inside the theater rooms was powered down. The building sat quiet for months. Only a single security guard visited the location during overnight patrols. His name was Marcus Hill. 38 years old. Former police officer turned private security contractor. Marcus was assigned to inspect several closed properties around the area each night. The cinema was one of them. His routine never changed. At 1:30 a.m. he would arrive in the parking lot. Check the main doors. Walk through the lobby. And confirm that every theater room remained locked. The first strange event happened on the night of November 3rd. Marcus arrived shortly before 2:45 a.m. The parking lot was completely empty. The large cinema sign above the entrance had not been lit for months. The building looked abandoned. Inside the lobby, emergency lighting provided just enough visibility to walk through. Marcus completed his usual inspection. The snack counter remained dark. The arcade machine silent. Dust had begun collecting on the carpet. Everything appeared normal. Then he checked the security monitor. The cinema had a small control room near the lobby where camera feeds from each theater room could be viewed. Marcus noticed something immediately. One of the monitors was glowing brighter than the others. Camera 7. The feed connected to theater room 4. At first he thought the camera had malfunctioned. But when he looked closer, he realized the room was illuminated. The large projection screen inside theater 4 was glowing. The projector was running. A film was playing. Marcus stood still for several seconds staring at the monitor. He knew that room had no power connected to it. The main electrical breaker for Theater 4 had been shut off months earlier. Yet the camera clearly showed the projector beam cutting through the darkness of the theater. Rows of empty seats stretched toward the screen. No one sat inside the room. The movie continued playing. Marcus checked the timestamp on the security recording. 2:58 a.m. Exactly the moment the projector activated. The film itself was difficult to identify from the camera angle. But the images on the screen appeared black and white. Old. Grainy. Not part of the cinema's normal digital library. Marcus left the control room and walked down the hallway toward Theater 4. The corridor lights were dim. The building silent. When he reached the door, he stopped. Because he could hear the sound of the projector running inside the theater. The soft mechanical rhythm of the machine spinning film through its system. The sound echoed faintly into the hallway. Marcus opened the theater door slowly. The room inside was dark except for the bright beam of the projector. Dust floated in the air through the light. The screen showed a black and white scene from what looked like an old film reel. But the seats were empty. Completely empty. Marcus walked down the aisle slowly. Looking across every row. No one had entered the theater. Yet the projector continued running. He checked the projection booth above the back seats. The door to the booth was locked. Marcus used his master key to open it. Inside the booth, the projector was running. But the film reel mounted on the machine was not one of the cinema's films. In fact, Marcus later told investigators he had never seen a reel like it before. Because it had no label. No studio marking. No identification at all. Just a plain metal reel spinning inside the machine. Marcus shut the projector off manually. The film stopped. The screen went dark. And the theater returned to silence. At first he believed someone had broken into the building earlier and tampered with the equipment. But the next morning, the building owners reviewed the security footage. No one had entered the cinema. No doors had opened. No alarms had triggered. And the camera inside Theater Room 4 confirmed that the projector had started on its own. But the strangest detail appeared when the recording from the theater camera was reviewed more closely. Because during the moment the film began playing, the camera captured something else inside the theater. Something sitting in the very last row of seats. A shape. Barely visible in the darkness. That had not been there moments before the projector turned on. November 4, 2019. By the next morning, the owners of Lakewood Grand Cinema had already reviewed the security footage several times. At first they believed Marcus Hill had simply misinterpreted what he saw. Old buildings sometimes behave unpredictably. Electrical systems can reactivate briefly. Automatic timers can fail. Projectors can power on during maintenance cycles. But there was one problem with that explanation. The entire projection system inside Theater Room 4 had been disconnected from the building's electrical circuit. Months earlier, during the final shutdown of the cinema, maintenance technicians had physically cut power to the theater projectors. The breaker for Theater 4 remained switched off inside the main electrical panel. Meaning the projector should not have been able to start. Under any condition. Yet the security camera clearly showed it running. The footage from the theater camera was reviewed again. At exactly 2:58 a.m., the projector beam suddenly appeared across the screen. The room had been completely dark 1 second earlier. Then the screen illuminated. The movie began playing. The film itself appeared extremely old. Black and white. Heavy film grain. The images looked like something recorded decades earlier. Possibly from the 1940s or 1950s. But the cinema had never stored physical film reels from that period. By the time the theater closed in 2019, every projector in the building used digital systems. The machines were not even designed to play traditional film reels anymore. Which raised another question. If the projector was running, what exactly was it playing? The projection booth camera provided the next clue. The small security camera inside the booth showed the projector spinning a metal reel. A reel that had not been present earlier that night. The owners asked Marcus to check the booth again during the following patrol. He returned the next night at the same time. 2:45 a.m. The building looked exactly as it had before. The parking lot empty. The cinema sign dark. Inside the lobby, emergency lights glowed faintly across the floor. Marcus walked directly to the security control room. He stared at the monitor connected to Theater 4. For several minutes nothing happened. The theater remained dark. The empty rows of seats barely visible in the low-light camera. At 2:58 a.m., the projector started again. Exactly the same moment as the previous night. The screen lit up. The film began playing. Marcus watched the monitor closely. This time he noticed something different. The last row of seats at the back of the theater was visible in the camera frame. And again, a shape appeared in one of the seats. A dark silhouette. The figure remained perfectly still. Marcus could not see any details. Only the outline of someone sitting in the chair. But the security footage showed something impossible. One frame before the projector started, the seat had been empty. Then the film began. And the shape appeared. Marcus walked toward Theater 4 again. The hallway remained silent. When he opened the door, the projector beam filled the room with the same pale light as the night before. Dust floated through the air inside the theater. The black and white film continued playing. Marcus immediately looked toward the last row. The seat where the shape had appeared on the camera. The row was empty. No one sat there. He walked up the aisle slowly. Scanning each seat. Nothing. No person. No sound. Only the film playing on the screen. Marcus climbed the stairs to the projection booth again. The door remained locked. Inside the booth, the same unmarked film reel spun inside the projector. Marcus turned the machine off again. The film stopped. And once again, the theater went silent. But later that morning, when the security footage from the previous night was analyzed more carefully, the investigators discovered something else. The silhouette in the last row had not remained still the entire time. For a brief moment, the shape had leaned forward. As if watching the screen. And when the projector shut off, the seat behind it appeared empty again. November 6, 2019. After two identical incidents inside Theater Room 4, the owners of Lakewood Grand Cinema decided to document the phenomenon directly. They contacted a local security consultant who specialized in surveillance systems and building investigations. His name was David Mercer. 42 years old. Former building security technician. His job was simple. Confirm whether the projector could be activating through a technical malfunction. And determine whether someone had secretly entered the building. On the night of November 6, Mercer arrived shortly after midnight. Marcus Hill was already waiting in the parking lot. The building stood silent under the streetlights. The large cinema sign above the entrance remained dark. Inside, Mercer immediately checked the electrical panel. The breaker connected to Theater Room 4 was still switched off. He tested the circuit with a meter. No current. The projector should have been completely dead. Next, Mercer inspected the projection booth. The projector itself was powered down. And the film reel Marcus had described earlier was still sitting inside the machine. The reel remained blank. No studio markings. No label. No title. Mercer removed the reel and examined the film strip itself. The footage contained black and white images of a theater stage. Not a movie scene. Just a stage. With a curtain partially open. Behind the curtain, rows of empty seats. It looked like footage recorded inside another theater. But Mercer could not identify the location. He placed the reel back inside the projector. Then he and Marcus moved to the control room. The plan was simple. Watch the cameras. And wait. At 2:55 a.m., both men were seated in front of the monitors. Camera 7 displayed Theater Room 4. Rows of empty seats. The projection screen dark. The theater silent. At 2:58 a.m., the projector started. Exactly as it had the previous nights. The screen filled with light. The black and white film began playing. Marcus immediately focused on the last row of seats. And once again, the silhouette appeared. The same seat. The same shape. The figure looked like someone sitting perfectly upright. Facing the screen. Mercer leaned closer to the monitor. The camera angle was poor. Only the top of the seat and the outline of a head were visible. But something about the shape was wrong. It never moved. Not once. Not even slightly. Marcus stood up. "I'm going to check the room," he said. Mercer followed him. They walked down the dark hallway together. The sound of the projector echoed faintly through the corridor. Marcus opened the theater door slowly. The beam of light from the projector stretched across the room. The film continued playing on the screen. Both men looked toward the last row. The seat was empty. Mercer walked slowly up the aisle. Scanning every row. No one. No movement. Nothing. He turned toward the projection booth. The door was still locked. Marcus unlocked it. Inside the booth, the projector was running again. The blank reel spinning silently. Mercer shut the machine off. The screen went dark. For several seconds neither man spoke. Then Mercer looked down toward the theater seats. Something had changed. The very last row, the same seat that had held the silhouette, was now folded down. Every other seat in the row remained upright. Marcus swore the seats had been upright earlier. They had checked the room before starting the investigation. Mercer walked down the steps toward the seat. He stopped beside it. The fabric was worn. As if someone had been sitting there moments earlier. But the theater was empty. The security cameras confirmed it. When the footage was reviewed the following morning, the final recording showed the same sequence again. At 2:58 a.m. the projector turned on. The silhouette appeared. And when the machine shut off, the seat folded down. But the most disturbing detail appeared in the very last frame of the camera recording. Just before the projector stopped, the silhouette turned its head. Slowly. Away from the screen. Toward the camera. The cinema remained closed after that week. Lakewood Grand Cinema was demolished 2 years later. The theater building no longer exists. Marcus immediately focused on the last row of seats. And once again, the silhouette appeared. The same seat. The same shape. The figure looked like someone sitting perfectly upright. Facing the screen. Mercer leaned closer to the monitor. The camera angle was poor. Only the top of the seat and the outline of a head were visible. But something about the shape was wrong. It never moved. Not once. Not even slightly. Marcus stood up. "I'm going to check the room," he said. Mercer followed him. They walked down the dark hallway together. The sound of the projector echoed faintly through the corridor. Marcus opened the theater door slowly. The beam of light from the projector stretched across the room. The film continued playing on the screen. Both men looked toward the last row. The seat was empty. Mercer walked slowly up the aisle, scanning every row. No one. But the security footage from theater room 4 still survives. And every recording ends the same way, with an empty seat in the last row. And a film playing for an audience that was never there. By October 10th, the phenomenon had continued for 26 nights. No vandalism. No theft. No confrontations. Just presence. And perfect timing. Residents began to ask a question none of them could answer. Why that streetlight? Why that time? And why did it never miss a night? The streetlight itself had a documented malfunction history. Maintenance records show it had been scheduled for replacement twice in the past year. Both times delayed. It flickered occasionally. But it never shut off. It was the only consistent light source on Willow Creek Drive. And directly beneath it, the figure continued to stand. October 18th marked the 34th consecutive appearance. Daniel upgraded his security system. Higher resolution. Infrared capability. Continuous recording from 1:45 a.m. to 3 a.m. What the new footage captured would shift the tone of the investigation entirely. But that discovery would not be reviewed until later. Because on October 21st, something changed. At 2:17 a.m., the figure appeared. But this time, it was closer to the houses. And for the first time since September 14th, its head was tilted upward, facing directly toward Daniel's bedroom window. And the timing was no longer exact. October 21st, 2021. 2:16 a.m. Daniel's upgraded camera system had already been recording for 31 minutes when the figure entered frame. Not at 2:17.
I see you.
1 minute early.
Move.
The difference was small. But after 37 consecutive nights of precision timing, it mattered. The figure did not stand directly under the streetlight. It stopped 3 feet short of its usual position. The light illuminated only part of its body. Its head remained partially in shadow. Daniel reviewed the footage at 6:42 a.m.
Look at this.
He slowed it to half speed. At normal playback, the figure appears motionless.
Rewinding. Watch.
At half speed, there is subtle movement.
Did you see it?
Breathing.
Yeah.
The shoulders rise.
We need
Barely noticeable. But present. Until that night, residents had believed the figure might be completely still. The infrared camera revealed something else. Body heat. The thermal overlay showed a human temperature range. Approximately 98 degrees Fahrenheit. Not a reflection. Not a shadow artifact. A living presence. Daniel shared the footage with Melissa and 2 other neighbors. By October 23rd, the neighborhood association contacted local authorities. An officer conducted patrols between 1:45 a.m. and 3:30 a.m. for 3 nights. No figure appeared. October 24th. No sighting. October 25th. No sighting. October 26th. At 2:17 a.m. exactly, the figure returned. No patrol vehicle present. No witnesses outside. Only cameras. The footage shows the figure resume its original position directly under the streetlight. Head angled downward again. Timing restored. It remained for 12 minutes. Then walked north. Daniel began mapping the direction of departure. Northbound led toward a narrow wooded path connecting to an older residential subdivision built in the 1980s. The path had no lighting. No cameras. On October 28th, Daniel and Melissa conducted their own observation from inside Daniel's upstairs office. Lights off. Curtains partially open. Two cameras recording. At 2:17 a.m., the figure appeared. But this time, it did not face Daniel's house. It faced Melissa's. The head slowly rotated. Not in a sudden motion. Gradual. Measured. Stopping when aligned with her front door. Melissa reported a physical reaction while reviewing the footage later that morning. Increased heart rate. Shortness of breath.
Look at this from
She stated she
2003.
felt
The street
observed.
looks the same.
Even though she
Yeah,
had remained
that's the
upstairs,
street light
unseen.
Right there.
October 30th
What's
marked
that
46
shadow
nights since the
where
first
light is
sighting.
now?
Daniel analyzed
Wasn't
audio
there
from
for
all
4
previous
seconds
recordings.
back then.
Between 2:17 and 2:29 a.m., there was a low-frequency sound present on multiple clips. Not wind. Not traffic. A faint rhythmic vibration. When amplified, it resembled distant footsteps. But slower than the visual walking pace. Almost delayed. On November 1st, investigators reviewed older neighborhood security archives. The streetlight had been installed in 1997. Before that, the area had been darker. One archived image from 2003, captured during a Halloween event, showed something unusual. Under the same location where the streetlight now stands, a tall dark silhouette was faintly visible. The timestamp read 2:19 a.m. The image quality was poor. But the posture appeared identical. Hands at sides. Head slightly lowered. The discovery changed the timeline. The phenomenon may not have begun in 2021. It may have simply become more visible. On November 3rd, Daniel positioned a secondary camera facing north toward the wooded path. At 2:29 a.m., when the figure began walking away, the second camera captured only darkness. The figure did not enter frame. There was no transition. No walking sequence past the edge of the streetlight. It was present beneath the light. Then it was gone. The footage showed an empty sidewalk. No fade. No obstruction. Simply absence. Daniel replayed the clip 23 times. Frame by frame. At 2:28 and 47 seconds a.m., the figure is visible. At 2:28 and 48 seconds a.m., the space is empty. No motion blur. No shift. Nothing. On November 5th, the streetlight malfunctioned. It flickered repeatedly between 2:10 and 2:14 a.m. Residents monitored from windows. At 2:17 a.m., when the light stabilized, the figure was already standing there. No one reported seeing it approach. Melissa's dashcam confirmed the road was empty at 2:15 a.m. 2 minutes later, it was occupied. November 7th, 54 nights. The figure appeared closer than ever before. Not under the streetlight. But halfway down the sidewalk toward Daniel's driveway. The camera zoomed automatically. For the first time, clothing detail became visible. A long dark coat. Straight cut. No visible texture variation. No movement from wind. And at 2:22 a.m., the head tilted upward again. But this time, it remained elevated. Facing the camera. For 7 full minutes. Daniel later stated he felt certain the figure knew it was being recorded. At 2:30 a.m., instead of walking north, it walked south. Toward the dead end of Willow Creek Drive. Toward the cul-de-sac. Toward the cluster of 5 houses with no direct street view. The cameras did not follow. That night, no resident slept. Because at 2:43 a.m., a new sound was recorded. 3 slow taps. On wood. Not outside. Inside Daniel's house. November 7th, 2021. 2:43 a.m. 3 slow taps. Recorded on Daniel's interior hallway camera. The sound originated from the front door. Daniel remained upstairs during the initial noise. The figure had walked south at 2:30 a.m. By 2:35 a.m., all exterior cameras showed an empty street. At 2:42 and 51 seconds a.m., the front porch camera activated. No visible subject. No motion alert. But at 2:43 and 3 seconds a.m., 3 distinct knocks. Evenly spaced. Daniel reviewed the porch footage immediately after sunrise. There was no one at the door. No shadow movement. No visible reflection. Only the door vibrating slightly with each impact. Melissa confirmed she had not left her home. None of the cul-de-sac residents reported activity. Police were contacted at 7:18 a.m. Officers conducted a perimeter check. No footprints. No disturbed grass. No foreign objects. The ground had been slightly damp from overnight humidity.
Sure about this?
If someone had stood there, there would have been evidence.
It's done.
There was none. That
I
night,
just have a
November
bad
8th,
feeling.
the streetlight did not activate. Maintenance logs later confirmed the temporary wiring failure. The bulb remained dark between 1:58 a.m. and 4:12 a.m. At 2:17 a.m., Daniel's camera captured the figure. Standing in complete darkness. Exactly where the streetlight glow would normally fall. Its silhouette was visible only through infrared. Without the light, the outline appeared sharper. More defined. The head was not lowered. It was upright. Facing Daniel's house. At 2:21 a.m., the figure raised its right arm. Slowly. Deliberately. Not a wave. Not a signal. The arm extended outward. Pointing. Toward Daniel's front door. Daniel did not approach the window. He remained seated behind the camera monitor. At 2:29 a.m., the figure vanished. No walking sequence. No fade. Just absence between frames.
Daniel
At
Harper
2:43
no
a.m.,
longer lives
3
in the
knocks again.
house across the street.
Identical spacing. Identical sound
No sign
profile.
of streetlight
This time,
watcher.
Daniel opened the door immediately. The porch was empty. The street was silent. But something was different. Across the street, the streetlight activated. On its own. And beneath it, nothing. November 10th marked the 57th recorded night. The figure appeared at 2:17 a.m. under the fully repaired streetlight. But it did not face any house. It faced the camera. Directly. At 2:20 a.m., it stepped forward. One step beyond its usual position. Then another. Crossing the invisible boundary between light and shadow. For the first time, it entered the darker portion of the sidewalk intentionally. Toward Daniel's property. The camera zoomed automatically. At 2:22 and 14 seconds a.m., the figure stopped. Less than 20 feet from Daniel's driveway. Its posture changed. The head lifted higher than ever before. And for the first time, the face was partially illuminated. There were no features. No eyes. No mouth. No skin texture. Only a smooth, light-absorbing surface where a face should have been. At 2:23 a.m., all cameras shut off simultaneously. Power remained active in the house. No outage recorded by the utility company. Recording resumed at 2:31 a.m. The sidewalk was empty. No figure. No movement. No damage to equipment. November 11th. No appearance. November 12th. No appearance. November 13th. No appearance. The pattern ended on night 57. As suddenly as it began. Daniel moved from Willow Creek Drive 3 months later. Melissa remained. No further sightings have been documented since November 10, 2021. Maintenance records show the streetlight has functioned normally ever since. No wiring issues. No voltage fluctuations. The archived 2003 image remains unexplained. Metadata confirmed authenticity. Timestamp verified. When analysts enhanced the silhouette, they found something unexpected. The figure in 2003 appeared slightly shorter. The proportions slightly different. As if it had adjusted over time. Matching the height estimates recorded in 2021. There is no evidence of a coordinated prank. No suspects identified. No trespassing reports. No physical trace. Only consistent timing. Consistent posture. No figure appeared. October 24th. No sighting. October 25th. No sighting. October 26th. At 2:17 a.m. exactly, the figure returned. No patrol vehicle present. No witnesses outside. Only cameras. The footage shows the figure resume its original position directly under the streetlight. Head angled downward again. Timing restored. It remained for 12 minutes. Then walked north. Daniel began mapping the direction of departure. Northbound led toward a narrow wooded path connecting to an older residential subdivision built in the 1980s. The path had no lighting. No cameras. On October 28, Daniel and Melissa conducted their own observation from inside Daniel's upstairs office. Lights off. Curtains partially open. 2 cameras recording. At 2:17 a.m., the figure appeared. But this time, it did not face Daniel's house. It faced Melissa's. The head slowly rotated. Not in a sudden motion. Gradual. Measured. Stopping when aligned with her front door. Melissa reported a physical reaction while reviewing the footage later that morning. Increased heart rate. Shortness of breath. She stated she felt observed. Even though she had remained upstairs, unseen. October 30th marked 46 nights since the first sighting. Daniel analyzed audio from all previous recordings. Between 2:17 and 2:29 a.m., there was a low-frequency sound present on multiple clips. Not wind. Not traffic. A faint rhythmic vibration. When amplified, it resembled distant footsteps. But slower than the visual walking pace. Almost delayed. On November 1st, investigators reviewed older neighborhood security archives. The streetlight had been installed in 1997. Before that, the area had been darker. One archived image from 2003, captured during a Halloween event, showed something unusual. Under the same location where the streetlight now stands, a tall dark silhouette was faintly visible. The timestamp read 2:19 a.m. The image quality was poor. But the posture appeared identical. Hands at sides. Head slightly lowered. The discovery changed the timeline. The phenomenon may not have begun in 2021. It may have simply become more visible.
Sure about this?
On November 3rd, Daniel positioned a secondary camera facing north toward the wooded path. At 2:29 a.m., when the figure began walking away, the second camera captured only darkness. The figure did not enter frame. There was no transition. No walking sequence past the edge of the streetlight. It was present beneath the light. Then it was gone. The footage showed an empty sidewalk. No fade. No obstruction. Simply absence. Melissa confirmed she had not left her home. None of the cul-de-sac residents reported activity. Police were contacted at 7:18 a.m. Officers conducted a perimeter check. No footprints. No disturbed grass. No foreign objects. The ground had been slightly damp from overnight humidity. If someone had stood there, there would have been evidence. There was none. That night, November 8th, the streetlight did not activate. Maintenance logs later confirmed the temporary wiring failure. The bulb remained dark between 1:58 a.m. and 4:12 a.m. At 2:17 a.m., Daniel's camera captured the figure, standing in complete darkness. Exactly where the streetlight glow would normally fall. Its silhouette was visible only through infrared. Without the light, the outline appeared sharper. More defined. The head was not lowered. It was upright. Facing Daniel's house. At 2:21 a.m., the figure raised its right arm. Slowly. Deliberately. Not a wave. Not a signal. The arm extended outward. Pointing. Toward Daniel's front door. Daniel did not approach the window. He remained seated behind the camera monitor. At 2:29 a.m., the figure vanished. No walking sequence. No fade.